everyone, I'm Melinda Davenport, and thank you for taking the time to view this webinar to talk about some of the amazing organizations that are elevating the conversation about women in tech, product, and how they're all working to change the narrative about climate change. Joining me now is Nancy Wang. She's the CEO of AWIP, Advancing Women in Product. The organization is empowering high-potential female product and tech leaders through professional education and executive mentorship. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Melinda, for having me.
I want to talk about what you're doing to kind of make this journey in clean tech, in product, in advancing women, all kind of combined together. We know that there's a lot going on in 2020. The global pandemic is reaching so many people and having an impact on so many and businesses. And of course, Earth Day makes you think about the race to figure out how to help affect climate change. So how does your organization fit into this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, AWIP is a global organization with individuals focusing on getting them to the next levels of leadership. So with that lens, AWIP is truly a very multifaceted organization where we have professionals from healthcare tech, from energy tech, from clean tech, which are very relevant to the topic that we're discussing today, as well as government tech and more of the traditional technology disciplines like SaaS software, enterprise software, consumer software like Facebook and Google, for example. So specifically on this topic, I just want to take a moment and truly highlight all of the great work that women in the clean energy sector, as well as traditional energy sectors are doing to advance the state of how we look at environmental protection, especially around the theme of Earth Day. Because women in that industry also deserve the opportunity to have a voice in how they advance their careers.
Why did you start this organization? What spoke to you about needing to be an agent of change in this area?
So I started Advancing Women in Product in 2017, which to me, AWIP has truly felt like it's been a part of my life, honestly, forever. But to think about it, that we just reached our 3-year mark and now have a global audience of 13,000, it has just been mind-blowing. Because another fact that I'd love to share is we are all volunteer run. So no one has, there's not a full-time position within the organization. It's truly a professional community where all of us have full-time roles and we're donating our time because we believe in the mission so much. Today, I'm super excited to say that we not only have chapters in San Francisco, in Seattle, where I live currently, and I work for Amazon full-time, but we also have Boston, New York City, Paris, other presence in Europe, and we just opened Chennai chapter in India as of late February.
That brings me to my next question in why you think it's so important to do the work that you're doing now.
It's really because we see a ton of amazing organizations like Girls in Tech, Girls Who Code, Black Girls Code, Latinx, so on and so forth, addressing the issues that we see in the pipeline, right? So getting more women studying STEM, for example, partnering and creating more partnerships between organizations like, let's say, Amazon or Google, Facebook, and coding boot camps where women go who want a career pivot into tech. Creating those programs. But where I saw the gap was organizations who strictly focused on the pathways problem, which is probably in one word how I best describe AWIP's mission, is we focus on individuals and professionals who are already in technology, who have at least 5 to 10 years of work experience under their belt, and they're getting ready to take on that next step in their career, whether it's taking on people management responsibilities, growing more senior or more specialized as an individual contributor, regardless of what their end goal is, right? We provide the skills training we have done now over 50 different topics of workshops, over 80 workshops total throughout all of our chapters that focus on skills women need to get to that next level, whether it's professional skills such as, how do you look at product analytics, or how do you become more technical as a product manager, but also extending to how do you manage remote teams, how do you deal with conflict in the workplace, because we feel that as you expand and grow to that next level of seniority in your career, you also need to learn additional skills to keep up with the economy, keep up with demand, and to also help you successfully navigate new situations that you might find yourself in. And so through this effort, we're super excited to work with partner organizations, let's say like Pink Innov, where they're a consortium of female executives that started out in Europe with Helen Campercy as their fearless leader. And that closely mirrors what we have been also trying to do in the US and now abroad as well, which is constructing a community of executives, regardless of industry, regardless of role. And we're super proud to say that we have vice presidents, which I believe, Melinda, you're talking to one of our ambassadors for this webinar as well, right? Where they donate their time, their skills, and they're passionate about joining the effort to solve the pathways problem.
We talked a little bit about this, climate change, Earth Day celebrations in order to make sure people are aware of what's happening with our planet, the global pandemic, a global economic crisis that seems to be looming according to industry experts. How does AWIP tackle all of these issues while still adhering to the mission of what you're trying to do?
Absolutely. And that's why in every conversation and partnership that we go into, we always go back to the mission, is regardless if you take out sector, you take out company. And that's why even as I've changed companies, for example, I started the organization when I was working at Google, then I transitioned to a brief period in venture capital, then to a startup in the Silicon Valley, and now to Amazon. AWIP has continued to stay independent. So if you look at our partnership community, they consist of some of the largest names in technology like Google, Amazon, Facebook, LinkedIn, Microsoft, so on and so forth. But there's also many, many different startups that we also work with that are not just based in Silicon Valley, but we also have startups based in, for example, Southeast Asia, as well as New York, that are working with us as well. And that's just to say that we stick to our mission. The mission is so core to what we do, so that regardless of if you're a product manager, an engineer, another professional in tech, or regardless of what company you're working in, or if you're a consultant, if you believe in the mission and this is something that you can stand behind, there will be a spot for you in the AWIP community.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time in this webinar to really give people a sense of what AWIP is all about, and also tackling some of the challenges that the globe is facing, not only with women, but women in tech, and also the global narrative of the importance of having women in the conversation. So definitely appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Melinda.
With us now is Elaine Comporsi, founder and president of Pink Innov, an organization that gathers men and women innovators in support of increasing the visibility of women in innovation. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hello, Melinda. Thank you for asking me to be here.
Elaine, talk a little bit about what Pink Innov is doing to make sure that society is aware of the importance of innovation.
Well, the beginning of history is coming from me. I mean, I went to an evening party, and in the room, there are more than 100 men and 3 women. And I said, wow, innovation is not just men, it's also women. And I get also the opportunity during my career as executive to be able to learn many things, and my bosses helped me to develop myself and have a nice career. And I say how I can also help women to have the same chance than I had, and how I can give them the opportunity to better succeed in their project.
What was the rationale and reasoning behind starting the organization? Why did you want to make a difference in this regard?
At the beginning of picking up, about 3 years ago, we wrote a book about women's position in innovation. And we wanted to help them to be more confident through women experiences. The year after, we decided to organize an hackathon about women security in public area and transport. And all the hackathon was managed and mentored by women. And we also organize conferences about diversity in research and technology. And on the stage, we ask women to be here to share their point of view and their vision. And we also are involved in the city of the future or sustainable energy. And 2 weeks ago, we made, for example, conferences on biomimetism and diversity. This is a different subject on which women can express themselves. In fact, we are not in a political way. We just do things. And we want to do things with men and women, with women very active in a maker spirit to do things. And this is the way we act, in fact, and we try to involve our community in the women position, women and men, now I have to say, position in innovation.
So why is it so important to have women in the space of innovation to continue to make an impact?
We can find new way of production. We can find new offer. We can open our mind to find new ecosystem to do business, but also to find maybe to reduce some cost because we do it in a better way. So I think it's a great opportunity, and innovation and innovative method are now very important to involve people in that way and the new way of thinking.
Also here with us today is Michele Sabban, Honorary President of the R20 organization, which is a nonprofit environmental organization founded with the support of the United Nations. She's also the president of R20 Green Fund for Women, which provides financial support in the form of grants to green businesses, startups, and enterprises led by women worldwide. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, Melinda. Thank you for your interview. I am very happy to discuss with you.
So the first question I want to ask is, why are there so few women in the field of innovation, and why is it so important to have women leaders in this space?
C'est une question très importante parce qu'elle est centrale. Et on le voit aujourd'hui avec ce qui est en train de se passer. Tous les pays qui sont gouvernés par des femmes sur la pandémie s'en sortent le mieux. Parce qu'il y a une question de mise en place de l'organisation par rapport à cette pandémie. Il y a une vue femme et une vue homme. On est obligé de le constater. Que vous prenez les pays de l'Europe du Nord, vous prenez l'Allemagne, même en Afrique, le seul pays qui est dirigé par une femme s'en sort très très bien sur la façon de la mise en place du confinement. Et moi, je vois là une nouvelle donne. Et une nouvelle chance, justement, pour pas simplement les femmes, mais pour l'ensemble de la société mondiale. Aujourd'hui, nous avons de plus en plus de femmes qui accèdent à des postes de responsabilité, mais je pense que la responsabilité, elle est à tout niveau. Elle part de la maison, les femmes ont la responsabilité de l'éducation, de l'organisation de la maison. Elle arrive après dans l'entreprise. Elle arrive après dans une hiérarchie de plus en plus haute, mais nous avons toujours cette question qui revient depuis des siècles, c'est le plafond de verre, à quel moment nous allons faire exploser ce plafond de verre. Moi, au R20, j'ai choisi une méthode différente. J'ai choisi de jouer la solidarité des femmes envers les femmes. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, nous allons, c'est vrai, organiser des projets en direction des femmes dans le monde, mais notre leitmotiv, c'est solidarité des femmes riches en direction des femmes pauvres. Et c'est pour ça que j'ai réuni, grâce à la première dame de Côte d'Ivoire, par exemple, les premières dames d'Afrique, qui m'ont permis de lancer en Afrique le Fonds vert, et on y reviendra peut-être tout à l'heure. C'est pour ça qu'en Chine, on a essayé de voir des femmes riches. Pourquoi des femmes riches en Chine? Parce que vous savez que la politique chinoise, à une époque, supprimait les naissances des filles, et c'était une naissance par famille. Et le peu de filles qui ont échappé à cette règle sont aujourd'hui les seules héritières de grandes familles chinoises. Et elles ont décidé de nous aider aussi. Donc, nous avons travaillé dans cette mesure. Aux États-Unis, les États fédérés, très peu de femmes président ces États fédérés, mais nous avons, avec des contacts, que ce soit au Mexique, que ce soit en Colombie, que ce soit dans les différents États d'Amérique du Nord, fait en sorte de mettre en valeur le travail réalisé par les femmes. Et c'est pour ça qu'avec Pink Innov et Lou, notamment sur l'Amérique, l'Ouest de l'Amérique, enfin, tu m'as compris, Lou, nous essayons d'aller apprendre, voir comment on peut, avec les makers, quoi, avec les gens qui font, avec les entreprises sur les nouvelles technologies, nous aider à apporter ça vers nous pour pouvoir l'importer vers d'autres. Parce que je ne pense pas qu'il faille refaire tout le travail que nous avons fait les unes et les autres quand on est en Afrique, par exemple. Il faut se dépasser et aller encore plus loin. Et moi, je pense que le rôle des territoires, et je reviens à la première question qui m'a été posée tout à l'heure, est l'enjeu majeur des années futures.
Next, talk about the work that you're doing to drive the mission forward.
Non, mais c'est de ça dont je voulais parler justement. Puisque une fois que le R20 s'est organisé avec ses régions, a mis en place certains fonctionnements, notamment de projets importants, comme à Rio de Janeiro, où on a changé tout l'éclairage public en LED au moment des différentes coupes, comme à Oran en Algérie, on a mis en place une usine de retraitement de déchets où la population a appris à faire le tri. J'ai choisi et j'ai proposé au gouverneur Schwarzenegger de lancer un fonds vert pour les femmes parce que ça permettait justement d'identifier des projets qui seraient portés pour des femmes par l'ensemble de la communauté, notamment économique, voire même sociale. Pour m'expliquer plus facilement, le premier projet que nous avons étudié et sur lequel nous sommes toujours en cours de réalisation, c'est un projet en Côte d'Ivoire sur de l'agroforesterie. L'enjeu, c'est quoi? C'est de faire en sorte qu'au travers de ce fonds, d'aller bien sûr lever des fonds pour financer, mais de donner des formations, de faire en sorte que l'indépendance économique de ces femmes soit vraiment réelle. Il faut savoir qu'en Afrique, par exemple, les femmes n'ont pas le droit aux terres agricoles pour pouvoir cultiver. Elles peuvent cultiver, elles peuvent être esclaves sur le terrain, mais elles ne peuvent pas être propriétaires de leurs terres. Donc, on a vu avec les régions, parce que les forêts appartiennent aux régions, de faire comment on pouvait donner des forêts pour faire de l'agroforesterie, pour pouvoir cultiver elles-mêmes leur propre culture, notamment du manioc, du riz, enfin tout ce que les familles ont besoin dans le cadre de leur tradition de nourriture, quoi, hein, de leur savoir-faire. Et nous faisons en sorte de créer de l'emploi. Donc, au travers de ce fonds, des projets qui permettent les trois bases principales, la formation, d'avoir une émancipation, une indépendance financière et aussi la création d'emplois. Donc, voilà un peu ce que nous aujourd'hui, même si dans le cadre de la pandémie, on essaye de mettre en place quelque chose qui est plus lié avec, plus en phase avec ce qui se passe aujourd'hui. C'est que vous savez qu'on a partout dans le monde la problématique des masques. Et nous avons choisi d'aider des femmes, les associations de femmes en Côte d'Ivoire, justement, c'est d'aller chercher des machines à coudre, du tissu et du coton pour qu'elles puissent fabriquer des masques pour leur population et puis après garder leurs machines pour pouvoir refaire leur économie informelle, puisque aujourd'hui, moi je suis convaincue que l'Afrique ne meurt du Covid-19, mais plutôt de la famine et de la misère. Donc voilà un peu les deux exemples, un sur des projets à long terme que nous mettons en place, et là dans l'actualité actuelle, c'est ce que nous faisons.
What role do you see technology playing in the field of climate change? How do they work together?
Alors moi je pense qu'il faut aider les populations qui sont loin de tout ça. Nous, on est dans un monde très, très développé là-dessus. Mais je pense qu'il faut aller développer ces hommes et ces femmes qui sont dans des terrains non développés. Alors, je m'explique. On a réussi par tout ce qui est le téléphone, les portables. Aujourd'hui, dans le monde entier, tout le monde a un portable, tout le monde a un téléphone. Les choses ont bien avancé sur le règlement bancaire, par son téléphone, sur les, beaucoup de facilité pour faire des choses, même des commandes en ligne. On peut commander directement. Moi, je pense qu'il faudrait que les femmes, parce que c'est justement ces populations qu'il faut toucher, puissent être peut-être un peu plus formées, peut-être un peu plus… Moi, je vois les banques en ligne, par exemple, aujourd'hui, c'est très bien, mais c'est pour une certaine partie des populations. Tout le monde ne sait pas se servir de sa banque en ligne. Pour tout vous dire, moi, ça fait pas très longtemps. Donc, vous voyez, donc il y a toutes ces questions-là. C'est la question de la formation en général. Et les femmes sont les plus touchées là-dessus parce qu'elles elles n'ont peut-être pas eu le temps. Je ne dis pas les générations. Il y a un effet générationnel, bien sûr, mais je pense que, pour prendre l'Afrique, puisque c'est quand même la cible qui est là, aujourd'hui celle du Fonds vert, c'est peut-être une formation plus approfondie de toutes ces nouvelles technologies en direction des femmes. Et c'est pour ça que notre association avec Innov et Lou, elle est essentielle parce qu'elle nous permet d'apprendre au travers de leur métier, qui sont pour nous complètement inconnus. Moi, je ne suis pas formée là-dessus. C'est notre complémentarité avec elles. Et c'est ce dont nous avons besoin et c'est ce dont on nous demande sur le terrain. Aujourd'hui, vous savez, vous allez dans les marchés, les femmes, elles ont un sac où il y a les sous pour la dépense et un sac pour les sous pour les recettes. Donc, il faut dépasser tout ça. De toutes les façons, dans peu de temps, il n'y aura plus de monnaie, on n'aura plus de billets, on n'aura plus de pièces. Donc, il faut savoir appréhender ce moment-là. C'est pour ça que moi, ce partenariat est un partenariat qui est à mon avis, essentiel pour les métiers d'avenir.
Next here to talk to us today is Lou Martinez Sancho. She is a clean energy expert and strategy and innovation executive to talk to us today about an update on climate change around the world. Hello, Lou.
Hi, I'm Lou Martinez Sancho. I'm a friend of the R20 and also an ambassador to Pink Innov and AWIP. I would like to thank you very much, Hélène, Michelle, and Nancy, for inviting me to this webinar. Climate change is still critical in 2020, and I'm going to share some figures with you today. Over the next 10 years, World Academic Forum has identified a set of key risks of this decade. Unfortunately, we are diving the pandemics and also the environmental risk already. Natural disasters, extreme weather, biodiversity loss, water scarcity. I just recall the firewalls in Australia just before this pandemic are part of these top 20 challenges, including our inability of humans to find a viable solution to climate action. So next decade challenges, climate change is still one of them. Climate is still and remains critical over the next decade, even more after 2020 chaos. According to the World Health Organization, there are more than 7 million people that die due to result of air particulate exposure, and there's still billions of humans that they do not have access to electricity or to clean water. Power consumption, as we can see in this graph, is correlated with economic development and climate. And as countries develop, emissions will grow uncontrollably unless they will be addressed. Without access to adequate amounts of energy, countries that we see down on this curve, it will be very difficult, almost impossible for them to keep in going and develop with the right level of Human Development Index. Notice that in this graph, the bubbles represent the population. It gives you an idea of how important and how linked human development is with energy access. 70% of the energy consumption plus 75% of the CO2 emissions and 80% of the world wilderness by 2030 are located in 750 metropoles all around the world that represent by themselves 60% of GDP. We must reduce our current CO2 rate by a factor of 2 to keep the world temperature increase below 2 Celsius degrees, while double energy production worldwide to keep human development. Globally, the average electricity generates 530 grams of CO2 per kilowatt-hour electric. The Paris Agreement helped increasing global average temperature to well below 2 Celsius degrees. This implies that the GHG concentration in atmosphere cannot be over 450 ppm of CO2's equivalent, as we can see in this graph provided by OECD Environmental Outlook. The global emission must drop from 530 grams of CO2 per kilowatt-hour to 40 grams of CO2 kilowatt-hour. As countries develop, emission will grow unless addressed, as I was mentioned before. Electricity contributes 40% of the global CO2 emissions, and while they play a key role, it's not only. There are other three key players in this game fighting against climate change. Food, a smarter, cooler, and better building is the second one, and mobility is the third one, that they are key to tackle climate change. Therefore, a new decarbonized energy mix is needed, as well as a better control of the energy demand. Individuals, companies, and governments, as well as NGOs, as R20, should use this moment to raise awareness of the impact of a climate, social, and economical crisis. We can see all of us pictures on what are some of the benefits of stopping human activities in our overall environment. Nature is not that far from our cities and our big metropoles. Urgent and unusual strategies as part of a systemic view are needed to make an impact. I'm very proud of being a friend of the R20, support all the projects around the world that make a difference because they are very focalized and at the same time thinking local, but acting local, but thinking global. At the same time, Innov brings the innovation as well as AWIP, the support of their network with the technology to tackle this challenge of this decade. Thank you so much again for listening and hoping to answer your question after.
Up next is Wayne Duso. He's the Vice President of Edge Computing and Data Services at Amazon Web Services to talk about the role of tech companies in climate change. Wayne, thanks for taking the time for us today.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
You hear a lot of companies pledging, net carbon zero, less emissions, carbon-free energy, trying to do their part to help the climate change narrative. Earlier this week, Earth Day took place. So what do you think the importance of having companies of large stature and global presence being able to make commitments like this, and why is it so important to lead that charge in that way?
But this is a really, so happy 50th birthday to Earth Day. It's hard to believe it's 50 years old. And all of us every day look for ways of helping, and sometimes it feels like you're pushing a rock up a hill, right? It's can you make a difference as a human being? Some of us have our 3 good deeds of the day. Mine tend to be when I walk to work. And I tend to pick up trash. I probably look like a crazy person picking up trash, but I don't care. So if I can pick up 3 pieces of trash and put them in the trash can every day, for me, I feel like I've done something positive for, my community. But I'm an old Boy Scout. I think about doing, something good for the planet. So for my entire life, I've kind of been one of these people that have, been on the side of roads with a bag, picking up trash from time to time, especially around Earth Day. So this is something near and dear to my heart. And when you think about the change that each of us can make, that rolls up into the companies you work for as well. It doesn't require the UN. It doesn't require, governments to solve this problem. That's helpful. It's resources, it's messaging, it's focus. But each of us has a responsibility, and companies like, for instance, Amazon has a huge responsibility to demonstrate leadership. And we have the resources to do so. And we have the responsibility to do so. We're consuming resources. We need to make sure that in the fullness of time, the resources we consume are a net zero, right? That the carbon that we create, we actually consume, so it's a net zero. And I'm super proud of some of the initiatives that have been started over the last couple of years by our sustainability folks, Jeff leading the charge as CEO. But stuff that or programs that have been put in place, and the work that Cara is doing as our executive in charge of sustainability, super important. I'm excited about the fact that by in a couple of years, just in a few short years, at the end of the day, 80% of the energy that we consume as a company will be from renewables, and that's by 2022. I mean, that's real work.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for allowing us to come into your rooms, homes, wherever you are right now during the global pandemic to enjoy this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free right now to utilize the Q&A section on this Zoom webinar to submit your questions. And even if you don't submit your questions, you can upvote your questions right now that you like and want to be answered first. So please, right now, go ahead and utilize the Q&A section of the Zoom webinar so we can get your questions answered. And again, thanks to all the panelists today and giving their insights about not only women in tech, women in climate change, and how organizations like Amazon and Amazon Web Services can contribute to the conversation. So hello, everyone. We appreciate your time. And again, thanks for joining us. Submit your questions right now. And I actually have a question I'd like to kick off. This is directed to Lou Martinez Sancho, who gave an amazing talk about an update on climate change. Lou, I want to ask, where do you see all of the climate change narrative fitting into how people can contribute to this and make sure that we're doing our part to thwart the climate change issue?
On mute.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying thank you, Melinda, for your question. No, with all the automatical unmuting, sorry for it. It has been a pleasure to share this webinar with these amazing ladies and also with Wayne. So I was saying there are 4 aspects that really need to, for me, are arriving. We need to tackle food, building, mobility, and industry. In the 3 ones, everybody can make a huge impact. Selecting less energy, less waste. The efficiency in the buildings that we are living are really on our houses of every day, on our why can make that be done to allow that. Mobility, we are seeing a lot of soft mobility, especially now in this post-pandemic world that we are living. So I think bicycle, electrical SUVs, and all that will really help a lot. And in the industry, I think what Wayne presented us, companies like Amazon, companies like Kairos Power that they are developing new clean energy ways, we really have an impact and really have a responsibility.
All right, Lou, thank you so much for that answer. It makes a lot of sense and how companies can contribute to the narrative that we're talking about right now. Our next question is from Catherine, and it's directed to Wayne, asking, when you talk about reaching the target of 90% reusable energy, can you please give a little more detail on what that includes? And hello to you, Wayne.
Good morning to everybody. Good day to everybody. I can, and we started out in our retail section by just eliminating a certain amount of packaging. One of the things we introduced early on was having packaging which was reduced in bulk, in size. And you'll see a lot of what we deliver today in reduced size packaging, and we actually reward our vendors by delivering that material in reduced packaging so that it starts at the source. This was one way we started. In our web services division, we started a few years back in powering our new data centers with solar and wind. And we have a goal to be 80% carbon, reduce our carbon footprint by 80% in the next few years, and to be aligned with the Paris Accord 10 years prior to its deadline, to be a net zero carbon company. So these are really, really significant steps as a company, and I'm super proud of everything we're doing to do our part.
Wonderful, Wayne. Thank you so much for that. The next question is for Michele Sabban. Can you develop more on the role of R20 to support local authorities in being more systemic to tackle not only the climate change issue, but social issues and also biodiversity? So developing more in the role of R20 with some of those issues. And Lou is going to help translate to French for us.
Michele, Belinda a une question sur quel est le rôle des collectivités locales et des territoires dans la lutte contre le changement climatique, mais pas seulement, aussi dans l'intégration sociale et dans le développement durable de ces territoires.
Depuis la COP 21 à Paris, la prise en compte des territoires a été essentielle, notamment les villes et les régions. C'est pour ça qu'aujourd'hui, toutes les villes, les grandes villes, sont très présentes et ont des actions très très fortes, notamment les plans vélo, tout à l'heure Lou l'a évoqué, tout ce qui est réduction de la pollution et réduction de la voiture en ville. Et je crois que le changement, la prise de conscience s'est faite par les villes et par les régions. C'est la carte majeure pour avoir une planète qui respire demain. Et on le voit pendant cette pandémie. Regardez le rôle des villes, le rôle des États pour pouvoir prendre des décisions pour protéger les populations. Quand on protège la population face à cette pandémie, on doit la protéger aussi face à la pollution et face à un enjeu qui est très environnemental et écologique très fort. Donc, c'est la carte essentielle et c'est pour ça que moi, je suis très fière des régions qui travaillent avec le R20, qui ont décidé de passer un cap, notamment en matière d'innovation, pour pouvoir travailler avec des outils de demain. Et c'est pour ça que cette conférence est importante parce que c'est aussi le début de quelque chose et j'espère qu'on va pouvoir aller aussi loin et intéresser toutes les villes qui veulent travailler avec nous. Merci Lou.
So yes, in a nutshell, what Michele was saying is that after COP21, it has been a huge impact in climate change and the role of big cities and also the role of territories and small. The impact is due also to how the pollution is affecting those territories, agriculture, and also how big cities are being affected. So reducing the number of cars, utilizing electric cars, all those kind of energy efficiency, all those kind of actions are really very important into those territories. Protecting towns, big cities, and territories from this pandemic and also from climate change is key. And she's very proud to be part of R20. That is one of those organizations that are very focused very locally in territories, utilizing innovation to try to tackle climate change.
All right, thanks to you both for that. The next question is for Elaine. Do you see a lot of women in clean tech startups? This question coming from Marie.
Unfortunately not. That's the problem, in fact, because last year I participated to a clean tech event, and there were one woman on the stage out of 30. So this is a work that we have to develop, and we need to take action to help women to create company in clean tech or in other sector, because in fact we need having more women leading companies. Just because we have seen some studies which show that companies leading by women are more successful than by men, and so we have a long way to do to increase. I don't know how many women are create companies in the United States, but for Europe, for example, we have less than 10% of women creating startups, and in tech is lower. So we have a long way to convince women that they are able to create companies, they are able to lead companies, and maybe help them to be more confident that what we do with Innov to show that she can succeed and we can help them to succeed.
Elaine, thank you for that. Our next question is going to Nancy, and someone asks, do you have any ideas on how to increase the representation of women in technology fields to break the stereotype that men are simply better in math and science and the tech industry?
Yeah, well, excuse me, Melinda. Well, to start off, I think the fact that we are having so many great ladies on this webinar is proof that we're going in the right direction. Specifically, there are many different initiatives and organizations out there. Some like, for example, Girls Who Code or Girls in Tech that focus on a younger audience entering into the workforce. And there are organizations that also focus on more of the pathways problem. So now that you're in a company or a corporate setting, how do you leverage your skills as well as sponsors to keep on moving forward? So it really takes, I think, a two-pronged approach as well as having ambassadors. So super excited to have, 3 of our ambassadors on this call, Lou, Helen, and Wayne, because it truly takes a community in order to bring up the next generation.
Wonderful. Well said. Thank you, Nancy. Another question for Wayne, and Claude asks, do you believe your commitments, AWS, are key to attracting talent within the company and the organization as a whole?
I do. How we act as a company, how we act as an organization is super important to all generations, but for those that are new in their career or in mid-stage in their career, what they do, who they do it with, and how they do it is super important. So the fact that we are a tech company and we do pretty amazing things for our customers in terms of the products we build, how we actually get that done is very important to a lot of our staff, and it's important to me. I'm here because of that. A lot of us could work in various companies, but we want to work for ones that at the end of the day do good, not just for our customers, but for our environment and the planet on whole.
Thank you, Wayne. Lou, our next question is going to you. Maria is asking about CO2. And Europe is defining a cost of CO2 per ton. Do you think that it's necessary to extend this practice worldwide to be successful at combating the climate change challenge?
I'm sorry, Melinda was pulling out by the Zoom meeting. Do you mind repeating the question?
Sure, not a problem. So Maria asks about CO2, and Europe is defining a cost of CO2 per ton. So do you think that it's necessary to extend this practice worldwide to be successful at reaching the climate challenge?
Yes, indeed. I really promote every time we are working with governments or trying to explain what we're trying to accomplish, producing clean energy, or from the energy efficiency side, we believe that a worldwide price of CO2 will really help to advance and boost some of those climate policies that different governments are putting in place. Is done and the improvement that some companies are doing. The question is, what is the right price of those CO2 levels? Because if it's not the right price, sometimes companies, they just prefer to pay it instead of doing really transformation in the
All right, Lou, thank you very much. This next question is specific to a lot of the companies that are trying to help do their part in climate change. So do you have people, and this might be best for Wayne, that are specifically working on reducing the packaging impact for outreach and climate change? And Corel is asking this question.
We do. We have entire teams that look at this every day. I've watched over the course of specifically the last 5 years where packaging has been reduced from little items in a single box that get delivered to homes to blister packs that were used, and over time you'll see packaging get reduced to the point where it will be a very low footprint relative to any other option that you would have. So it's an ongoing iterative process for us. It's a never-ending exercise, and we'll continue to pursue it.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question is for Michele, and talking about the Paris Agreement, how it relates to sustainability, the initiatives that governments from local to federal how they take place and provide insight into this conversation. The question from Isha, how do organizations work with local governments to convince those governments about the importance of climate change given the relationships of nations across the country?
Michele, la question, elle est pour toi. C'est Isha qui la pose. Donc, elle veut savoir comment les organisations ils travaillent ensemble avec les gouvernements locaux ou avec les gouvernements nationaux, supranationaux pour les différents projets, surtout après les accords de Paris. S'il y a eu un impact, il y avait, je pense aussi une deuxième partie de la question sur l'impact du fait que les États-Unis n'ont pas signé cet accord et comment des organisations continuent à travailler avec des États fédéraux pour avancer sur ce sujet.
Merci Isha pour la question qui est très importante parce que le travail se fait plus par les territoires et les États fédérés. En fin de compte, ce n'est pas les États-Unis qui sont sortis de l'accord, c'est Donald Trump, puisque l'ensemble des gouverneurs des États-Unis, sur les 52, il y en a à peu près 49 qui travaillent en liaison avec l'ONU pour les questions climatiques, avec les différentes organisations internationales, comme le GIEC aussi, puisqu'elles prennent conscience au fur et à mesure de leur préparation en matière climatique. Et puis, elles voient les choses sur le terrain. Donc, nous travaillons souvent avec le regroupement des régions. Chaque pays se regroupe en régions. Sur les États fédérés, aux États-Unis par exemple, et notamment au travers du gouverneur de Californie, celui qui est en place aujourd'hui, il a réussi à emmener l'ensemble des gouverneurs américains sur la base de l'accord de Paris. Aujourd'hui, on le voit, si des décisions n'avaient pas été prises à un certain moment, on voit comment, au travers du climat, que ce soit les feux de forêt, on voit bien comment la Californie a brûlé il n'y a pas très longtemps, on voit bien comment en Europe les feux progressent aussi, et on essaye de regrouper tout ça. Moi, je crois que l'essentiel aujourd'hui, c'est de relancer, de redynamiser complètement les territoires sur ces questions-là. Si on veut s'en sortir, et je crois que la leçon que nous venons de recevoir, je suis désolée de revenir à chaque fois sur ce qui se passe en ce moment, c'est aux régions, aux villes, aux territoires de mener aujourd'hui les populations vers un futur un peu plus vert. Je ne sais pas si j'ai répondu à la question, Lou.
Oui, c'est très bien, Michel. I'm going to try to sum up. Michelle was saying us, first of all, thank you very much, Isha, for the question. That is a very, so Michelle starting mentioned that fact that the president of the United States didn't have the Paris Agreement actually didn't change much because for 49 states of the 50, they are really keep going and keeping that hard work. The current governor of California has put a lot of allies in other governors in the states promote and to advance in climate change in each one of those states. And there are a lot of organizations like the R20 that they are working very locally and also with other corporations to try to achieve those goals. It's very important for Michelle to remember and happening right now is very key, and we have a lot of lessons learned to do from this current crisis that we are living, and it puts really all the objectives and the pressure into the territories and into we want to impact in climate change.
Wonderful, thank you. And we have a few minutes left, so I wanted to have everyone leave some final parting thoughts with everyone that's viewing this webinar, and we'll also view a little bit later on as well. Starting with Nancy, any parting thoughts on what you've seen so far with the questions that we've had in the webinar and some of our peers and being able to present today for people that are watching right now?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, this collaboration of a webinar is the first sort of North American collaboration between Innov and AWIP. So thank you again to Helen and Lou, who actually helped us put together the speakers for this webinar. So I would say one thing is, climate change is like any other industry, right? I saw a few points made here on the Q&A that is still not super diverse or representative of what the global population is. So that's why, I really appreciate the efforts of foundations like R20 as well as corporate partners to make sure that that is also a focus amidst the broader community of empowering women in tech.
Wonderful, thank you. And Wayne, any parting thoughts that you'd like to leave for our panelists as well as the guests on our webinar today?
Well, I want to thank everybody for giving me an opportunity to participate in today's webinar. It's an honor to be with all these other amazing folks and actually to see what we're all doing to help in this matter. And I just want people to educate themselves on what various concerns and companies are doing and find an opportunity to participate, either through just being knowledgeable or through direct participation, because there are opportunities in abundance to get involved in, whether it's a little bit or a lot. It's worth your time. And thank you very much for having me today.
Yes, and thank you for being here. Lou, any parting thoughts for our guests today?
Yes, as well. Thank you so much, all of you. It has been great, and Nancy and Helen for this invitation. My last thought will be saying that to scale this issue and climate change puts the urgency into a scale. I agree with Wayne, there are a lot of good things, and we've been sharing some of those amazing projects today, but the urgency is still there, and we really need to rapid mass scaling some of those projects in order to have an impact. From the figures show, we're running out of time, so everybody that has a part of the solution needs to contribute, from the energy production to the energy efficiency, to mobility, to food. So it's not one against the other. There will be unexpected allies, as we learned in the Clean Tech Forum early this year, and I'm hoping also to collaborate collaborate with some of those unexpected allies.
Wonderful, Lou. Thank you. Elaine, final thoughts for us today. Oh, I believe you are still muted.
That's done. Sorry for that. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It was very amazing having your sharing your point of view about climate and women in climate change. I think that we have still a long way to, first of all, work on urgency, like Michele said, and how we can help each other to be more confident and more respectful with the environment. And at the same way, how we can also, in all the action that we take, we can support and help women to succeed and be more contributive to the energy and climate change, and find different way to involve them by funding startup which help us to grow and to build the future for our cities, and our families and children tomorrow, and be more involved, because the emotion that we can have, can help us to maybe do things differently. We're makers and women are ready makers. How we can help women like Michele to succeed in all the different projects she had across the world, like Lou too, who is working on energy, how we can help this woman to succeed and for the better way for tomorrow, especially in this very complex and difficult situation like we have today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Elaine. And finally, last but certainly not least, Michele, final thoughts?
Thank you.
Michele, un dernier mot ou une dernière idée que tu souhaiterais partager avec nos participants?
Déjà, remercier tout le monde. Et j'espère avoir fait progresser la langue française un peu avec les uns et les autres. Je m'excuse déjà et je voudrais remercier Lou d'avoir été mon porte-drapeau puisqu'elle apportait ma parole. Vous dire que c'est très important ce webinaire parce qu'il démontre qu'au-delà de l'urgence, maintenant nous avons besoin de l'action. Et en parlant des femmes, je voudrais évoquer les trois E, puisque c'est comme ça qu'on fera avancer cette question. C'est 1, éducation, 2, économie, 3, écologie. Et moi, je remercie Hélène de m'avoir associée à tous les travaux qui sont des travaux qui m'aident dans les plaidoyers que je dois faire, parce qu'elle m'ouvre sur cette question l'anticipation par rapport à l'éducation. Un peuple, une fille qui n'est pas formée, ça ne fonctionnera pas. L'anticipation par rapport à l'économie. Si nous n'apprenons pas aux femmes, aux jeunes filles, pourquoi l'économie est importante, mais il y a aussi le social qui accompagne cette économie, je pense que c'est la clé et la solution pour pouvoir arriver à une écologie ou un environnement qui puisse être digne de notre humanité et de notre planète. Et je voudrais remercier Mélinda parce que ça a été vraiment un moment important et une grande découverte. Bravo à tout le monde et à très bientôt, peut-être physiquement, mais certainement par vidéoconférence. À bientôt.
So Michele wants to thank everybody for being here. First, he also thanks me for the translation. Just to say that I'm not an official translator, so in public it is. I'm very apologies. English or French are not my mother tongue. I have tried to do my best. So sorry for all the mistakes I probably be doing on the translation, but the spirit was there, and I know very well Michele is the right offer. It's very important that we keep going on topics. It's very important for women to be part of climate change. She mentioned 3 E's: education, economy, and ecology. And through partnerships between associations like Innov and Helen that is working in innovation, or with tech companies, we can anticipate and make them be better in education or in economy. And thank you so much. Also, Michelle has a special thank to Melinda. Really, it was a great discovery during all this. And I will join myself to that. Thank you to Melinda for helping all of us to put this together. We know we've been having some with the bandwidth and the Zoom connection, but we have tried our best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And Lou, I don't think there's any need to apologize for knowing French, English, Spanish, Italian, and who knows what other languages you know. So thank you so much for the translation there. Our big thanks to everyone that was involved in this webinar. Michele Sabban, Chairwoman of R20 and President of the R20 Green Fund for Women, Nancy Wang, Head of Product and Engineering at AWS, and also Founder and CEO of Advancing Women in Product, Elaine Camporci, Founder and CEO of Pink Innov, Lou Martinez Sancho, friend of R20, official translator, Pink Innov and AWIP ambassador and vice president of strategy and innovation at Kairos Power, and of course, Wayne Duso, vice president at Amazon Web Services and executive advisor at AWIP. Thank you again for your time today, and thanks to all of the people who were joining us on this webinar. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Please continue the conversation by reaching out to any of us on LinkedIn or all of our social media properties. Again, have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm Linda Davenport signing off for now. Thanks for joining us.